Hey everyone, DarkDragoon here with Season 2, Episode 26 of my FTB Modpack Let's Play. So we are just logging in here, and as you guys can see, our system has finally reached critical mass on cobblestone and marble. Obviously marble we can't hold nearly as much, so our recyclers are trying to collect as much of this stuff as it can, but we're still getting a little bit of bounce back. So we're going to fix that problem in a couple of ways and try to solve a little bit of another problem we've been having, namely with our ability to get large amounts of sand to keep our peat bog going. So to do that, we're going to build a couple new machines, and the first one I've already got here in our project table. This is a Macerator. Pretty much this works like the thermal expansion pulverizer. It'll grind up whatever you put into it into another material. In this case, we're going to be basically using this macerator in line with our recyclers to grind up some excess cobble into sand. I figure it'll be a good use for it. Now, it's not a very fast-running machine, and you can see this is mostly because of GregTech. It's a little bit of an expensive machine, a couple diamonds and an advanced circuit, but not too bad. If you're not using GregTech, it's actually much more, it's much cheaper. It just requires an electronic circuit and a machine block and some flint. So it's much easier if you're not using GregTech. So I think we're just going to stick it right here in line with everything else, mostly so that we can just run a power line very easily. Because we're going to basically just use our existing system here to basically just add on to it. So let's just get ourselves a bit of glass fiber cabling. You can see my inventory is a mess at the moment, but we'll fix that here in a little bit. So there we go. We've got power hooked up to the macerator, and that should be fine. What I'll probably end up doing after we get this thing set up and going the way we want it to, what I'll probably do is make more of these overclockers and put them in the macerator, because the macerator will definitely want them. So, that done, let's see. I made myself a couple relays here, mostly to provide a little bit more of a buffer on these machines. So what we can just do is, this is going to obviously make our system very unhappy for just a minute, but we're going to put these relays right on here like so, and we're going to flip them around. There we go. Whoop, I had it right. There we go. So now these relays are going to basically act as a little bit of a buffer inventory so that it should be able to handle everything that this has to throw at it. And it'll make sure there's no bounce back. Obviously, if these recyclers are filled with cobble, the marble wouldn't know where to go, and thus would bounce back. And these relays will fix that. So, that done, wow, our inventory is a mess. The next thing I want to do is basically we're going to use a filter to help draw off a bit of the cobblestone off of its normal route of being recycled. So, like I said, to do that we're going to use a filter, and I already actually have one. Cool. So, shouldn't be too difficult. We should just be able to run a line, I'm thinking, off of here. Yeah. And we'll need a cover. We'll need a couple covers, because otherwise things are going to get really messy really fast. Yep, told you. Now the stuff is getting all sorts of confused on where it's going. Hopefully that should be fixed now. On the plus side, this stuff should bounce right out. Hopefully go the right way. Yes, because it already knows where to go. Okay, cool. So let's flip this around so it's facing the right direction. Okay, maybe we're not going to be able to put it right here, because the problem is we need it coming out of the top for this to work. So that's okay. It's going to take a little bit of finagling and jury rigging, but I think it'll work really well once we get it. Once we have a good spot to put it. Let's see. if we put a tube coming off the side, that will make the filter equidistant in terms of where things can go. Trying to make some arrangements here in our inventory just so that we have what we need. So if I put a tube coming off this way and a cover here, that should mean these three inventories should be equally as far as our filter. Yes. And I think we're going to have the filter come up like so. Again, just mostly so that I can sort of keep things, and of course some of the cobble is vomiting everywhere. That's okay though. This is going to look kind of crazy to start with, but I assure you it's going to work pretty well. So I'm going to put a cover right here, just to make sure it doesn't try to fly anywhere. And we're also going to put a cover here. And then cover. Obviously need tons of covers just to make sure that this is all going the right way and staying as compact as possible. There we go. So now excess cobble should be coming right down here into our macerator. Now probably what I could have done is also put a relay there, and that actually might not be a bad idea, just to help make sure that everything is working. Yeah, so as you can see, some cobble is going that way, some of it's going this way, and that works for us because this will make sure that this system doesn't get completely overloaded with cobble, because we don't really want to turn all of this cobblestone into sand. That's not really the goal. The goal is more to siphon some of this production off and basically make a use out of it. So that done, let me clean up my inventory, and we're going to dig into here and basically set up a way to get our sand back over here into this system. So let me do that off camera. Okay, I'm back, and I'm down here where our system is processing all sorts of fun stuff. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this retriever up to also demand sand. Cool. And the reason for that is that way we can just sort of use this existing system to set all this up and to basically get the sand back to where it belongs in that barrel over there. So to do that, we're just going to basically dig right under here, and we're going to set up, if I can get, obviously this is a gigantic mess under here, I'll just have to dig down. That's fine. Okay. And basically set up a filter right here on the bottom of this line to filter out all of the sand that's going to be coming into this system. So there we go. And I'm just going to put the sand right there. And that should be facing the wrong way. We want this to be facing up. There we go. That way sand will come out of there and will come out of the retriever and will go straight down into this filter, as this filter only accepts sand, so we don't have to worry about anything else trying to go into it. So from there, all we really need to do is set up a pneumatic tube line to basically go back over to the other side. As you can see, everything that's coming out of those machines over there are bypassing all of this pretty casually. Cool. So we should probably recharge, or actually be wearing our backpack. I was wondering why our diamond drill was empty. There we go. Okay. And yeah, so let's see here. Let's grab a bit of iron, just so that we can make it. Actually, I think we have another restriction tube, so I can just grab that. Because again, we want to make sure nothing is going down along this way. So sand is the third in the line, restriction tube coming off this way, and it should go straight down. Cool. The trick here is, at this point, is just figuring out exactly where we're coming out on the other side. So probably what we want to do is just run it like so. So it runs a little bit parallel to this system here. That'll work. We'll need more tubing, but that's okay. Yeah, definitely going to need more pneumatic tubing. Well, it's going to be close, but yeah. So let me get out of here. And we'll get some more tubes. Can't remember if we had any brass lying around in here. Getting dangerously low on glass. That's never a good thing to be low on glass. But luckily, by going to all this trouble to get all this sand, we should be able to make glass much easier. So there we go. Just a couple more tubes. We might want another restriction tube just to make sure, but I don't know. We'll find that out here in a second. No, didn't want to put you down. Wanted you. Come on. There we go. Hopefully nothing should be going down here, but sand should be more than happy to come out of here once we hook up that. And sand is being pumped out. Excellent. And just want to watch to make sure, yep, as you guys can see, it definitely comes out of the retriever with a brown pneumatic tube, goes to the filter, gets cleared, and it should be showing up right over here in our sand pipe, because nothing else should be going in there, because that is the nearest inventory that can hold sand. Excellent. So there we go. Automatically processing some cobble into sand. And like I said, everything else is still being processed into our scrap. Excellent. I don't know if we need to be holding 9 cobble in there, but hey. And like I said, with I'll probably make these off camera, but with just a couple overclockers, it'll turn this macerator much faster, and we'll be getting this will be able to process much more cobble at any given point. So cool, that done. I'm going to cover all this mess up again, and we're going to get back to work on where we left off last episode. Alright, I'm back, and basically I think it's time to play around with a little something new. And to do that, we're going to need to make ourselves I'm going to go ahead and make myself a couple of these, 2 computers, because what we're going to do next is we're going to try to automate our farm a little bit using turtles. I haven't done a ton with turtles in the past. I've messed around a little bit with them, so I don't have a ton of experience, but hopefully you guys will sort of be able to see what I'm doing and be able to extrapolate from that, and hopefully have some fun with turtles on your own. They can be kind of complicated if you're not too familiar with programming, but as far as programming languages goes, it's not too bad. And that coming from me, I'm not the most exceptional programmer in the world, so hopefully we'll just sort of work our way through it, and it'll turn out good. So you guys can definitely see our quarry's been going for a good while, and we're finally starting to get down to the tin layer, which is good, since we're running dangerously low on that stuff. So, okay, so we've got ourselves a turtle, right? Well, I want to go ahead and upgrade at least one of these for now into a gate reading turtle. And this is from Misc Peripherals, adds the gate reading. It adds quite a bunch of other little upgrades that you can add to your turtles. So it's very, very useful. It lets you do some things that you really can't do just with just turtles alone. So it's kind of useful. I'm going to need to get myself a gate here. and I'm going to let this go for a minute, and when I come back, we'll put this thing together. Alright, so I'm back, and our gate finally finished, so we're just going to put it together and make ourselves a gate reader. Before I put this together with the turtle, I want to throw it down and talk a little bit about, okay, what is a turtle, what does it do, how do they work? Because they're, like I said, they can be a little complex. But before I do that, I'm going to do this outside, so I'm going to sleep through the night. So turtles. Basically, you can slap it down, and you can see it's a little block, and it's got a little turtle on it. Cool. So what is a turtle? Well, basically, a turtle is a little robot that you can program to do a variety of tasks for you. There's some programs that are already pre-written into it, and that's pretty much what a lot of the MISC Peripherals mod adds, is these little programs already built in to add to the sort of stuff that a turtle can do. You can also program turtles to do what you want, but you can see they've got a little bit of a UI here. They've got an inventory space, and they've also got up here, which is your space where you can actually type. Obviously, there's no such program as that. Yeah, so there you go. It's basically a little robotic computer that you can program to do stuff. So first of all, let's go ahead and look at some of these programs. You can see there's already quite a few already listed in here. There's a bunch. And I'm not going to go into what each and every one of these does, but yeah, I'll drop a link in the description down below for you guys to go to ComputerCraft's wiki and forums and read a little bit about a little more about programming there. Because I'm going to try to do, well, I'll try to do some of it on camera, but I'm going to do most of it off camera, I think. So yeah, so basically you can see there's a lot of programs that are already in, and you can also write your own program simply by typing edit and then naming your program. So okay, so we just basically made ourselves a new program, and this is the place where we can type in various commands to tell the turtle what to do. It's pretty simple. It works with the Lua programming language, which if you're not familiar with Lua, you might want to look a little bit around and read up a little bit on it. It's I think it's probably one of the easier programming languages that I've messed around with on in various mods, but yeah. So that's pretty much the basics of Turtles. It's all about writing programs. And there you go. So what I think we're going to do is we are actually going to use a turtle to keep some of this stuff supplied, particularly down below. We want to keep our engine supplied with some peat, but we also want to have a turtle that'll pull our finished goods like wheat and netherwort out of this farm and, you know, go take it somewhere. I'm not sure where yet. Was kind of thinking the wheat might automatically go to a feed station here. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. All I know is that first things first, we need to sort of take this one step at a time, and the first step I really want to take, pretty much with anything, is automating the actual running of any particular thing. So basically what we're looking at is a few things. We want to, right now the farm is completely self-sufficient on seeds and netherwort. It never really needs to be supplied with these things. It doesn't really need to be supplied with dirt either, because these things pretty much self-supply. But we do need to supply it with fertilizer. And we do know we already have a system that's making fertilizer. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to use that system we already have and basically program a turtle to go fetch some fertilizer when this farm needs it. It's obviously not going to do that very often because this farm is going to run pretty slowly. We also are going to run another turtle, probably. I think we're going to do two separate turtles, but I think we're going to do another turtle that'll pick up the wheat and take it somewhere. So that done, I think to that end we're definitely going to need to put this turtle together first and foremost with a gate reader to make a gate reader turtle. The reason for this is we're going to use logic gates to basically define when the turtle realizes that it needs to do some work. So that done, let me go ahead and get some things together, get this sort of get at least a baseline idea of exactly how I want to program this thing, and then I'll be back. Alright, I am back, and after some extensive testing, I think I've got a good program and setup for what we're going to do here. So, to get started, I've made myself a transposer, and we're just going to put that down right underneath where the turtle is going to be right up against the farm. And the reason for this is, this farm, while it's pretty smart on where to put items when you're using BuildCraft pipes, it's not so smart when you're trying to use red power or turtles, so we had to find a way to get it to drop its things into a BuildCraft pipe, and this is realistically the best way that I can think of for it to work. So we're going to use an obsidian pipe, which is made pretty much the same way that any pipes are, except with obsidian. These are basically designed to grab anything that's on the ground near them. And I'm also then going to take a diamond pipe and place it here, and that will make sense in a little bit. So let me go ahead and grab that bit of fertilizer to put in our diamond pipe, because that's what we need to control which direction it's going. The reason for this is I discovered that this farm, interestingly enough, will automatically eject any of the items it gets down here into a BuildCraft pipe if it's placed directly below the hatch. Makes a certain amount of sense with gravity and all, but needless to say, it's a little bit of a problem for what we're doing. So basically we're just going to hook this up like so. And for now, I'm just going to run a bit of piping this way. And we can store, that way our farm knows what to do with stuff until we're ready for something a little more complicated. Just so it knows what to do with that. So, okay. The other thing we need to do, just to help sort of control which direction this stuff is going, is I need a bit of cobblestone. And we're just basically going to surround our transposer with our covers. And again, make sure that they aren't on top of the transposer, but around them. The reason for this, again, is to help control where the fertilizer falls. We want it to fall directly on the transposer. Cool. So that done, let's start taking a look at programming. It's pretty complicated. I've spent quite a bit of time just sort of messing around with it and trying some different things. So yeah, obviously this thing is upset at us for something. Come on, why are you not? It says press any key to continue, but I'm pressing keys and nothing is happening. Alright, let me figure out what's wrong with our turtle and I'll be back. Alright, so we got our turtle fixed so we can access it now. And we're going to start out by making, I'm going to write a real quick program just so that you guys can see how this gate reader works. And to do that, we're going to do edit farm data. That is going to be our program. So real quick, I'm just going to write this. Basically, this command will let the turtle know that basically to pay attention to the peripherals on its side. And yeah. So we're basically going to read our hatch and our farm to try to get some information about it, and that's kind of what all this is for. And then we're going to basically print it out so you guys can see it. And that should do it. End. So save, exit, and then we're going to try running it. Farm data. There we go. So you guys can see pretty easily that it's giving us a bunch of information about the farm, how much water's in it. It's telling us basically everything that a gate could tell us about the farm. There you go. So basically we're going to use this sort of information to set up a system to automatically go get fertilizer and put it into our farm. And I think I'm going to do most of that off camera because some of it's pretty complicated. But I am going to do a little bit of it on camera, at least for now, and you guys can let me know if you like the programming or if you would rather me just do it off camera and show you guys the results. So we're going to make ourselves a new program, right? And this is the program that's going to actually control this whole thing. So to do that, we need to type edit, and we're going to call it fertilize farm. So here we are. So first thing that we need to do is basically set up a few functions for the program to be able to run and do its thing. And the first of those is going to be a function called check fertilizer. We're going to call it check fert. Sounds good to me. Basically what this is going to do is it's going to have the turtle read the farm and figure out how much fertilizer is currently in the farm. So kind of similarly to what we just did a minute ago with that other little program to read the information, we're pretty much just going to call up a couple things and set up a few variables. So let's see here. Once I get this typed, I'll actually explain what it is. Okay, so this line, basically what we're doing is we're calling that data sheet that we printed out a minute ago, and we're basically telling it, hey, when the variable of data, which we set right here, is not equal, well, basically when this fertilizer less than 25% is not true, we're going to have the program do something. And what we're going to have it do is we're going to have it wait for a couple seconds, 2 seconds should be good, and then we're going to tell it to basically check again. Okay, and then we're going to need to end and then end the function overall. So yeah, so basically, like I said, this function's sole purpose is basically to check to see if it's true that the fertilizer is below 25%. If it's not below 25%, it's going to wait and then going to check again. And if it is, it's going to be finished, and we'll basically have a variable here called data that's supplied with some information. Cool. So the next function we're going to do is basically a function that will detect, hey, when basically that will tell the turtle what to do when it does need fertilizer. And this is going to be pretty long as far as coding, so I'm going to do most of this off camera. But this function, like I said, is going to be called supply fert, just to keep a little bit of symmetry between the two functions. So basically we're going to have to set up a number of lines of code to basically move the turtle around and have it manipulate its environment. So I'm going to do most of that off camera, and I'll pop back when I have something important to sort of point out about it. Okay, so I'm back. I've done a little bit of coding off camera, and as you guys can see, it's a lot of forward and turning commands. It's obviously going to be different for you guys depending on where your turtle is and where you need it to go, but I definitely want to show a couple things. We got a couple just straight up commands that tell it to turn and tell it to go forward a block, and we also have a couple loops that tell it basically to start at 1 and then increment every time it does this command up by 1 until it reaches this number. So we do this a couple times. And I actually think I might have miscoded this part right here. I believe this should be a 4. Yes, that should be a 4. But so there's that, and there's also a little bit in here that might be a bit confusing. Namely, this command here is for when it reaches the chest on the other side. It's mostly a sorting issue, because in my testing I found that by trying to pull out a certain amount, it eventually couldn't quite keep what I needed it to keep in its inventory because of the way that things get sorted in the chest. So basically it picks up 2 stacks of items, drops half a stack, selects the second box in its inventory, drops a full stack, and then it goes back to its half stack in the first slot, and then it goes along its merry way. Again, that's mostly a sorting thing. And then of course there's the code for it to come all the way back, and then once it gets back it will face the hatch and then drop down basically its half stack of items into the air to land in the transposer. So to test this out, why don't I save this, exit, and make a new program. We'll just call it test, and basically we'll just have this program call up the function of supply fert. And it should work. So let's check this. So here we go. Test. Okay, that just told us something is going on. We might not actually need the end if we just call that maybe. Actually, this might not work at all. No, it doesn't. Okay, so scratch that. We're going to test it by just writing the program. So let's clear this and then go back into our program, which I almost forgot the name of. There we go. Back to our functions. And we're just going to basically pop down after our functions are done, and just going to put in a double line basically to give myself a visual cue that it's the end of our defined functions and onto our actual program. Now, this is actually going to be pretty elegant, I think, because it's going to be short, and you guys are going to think, wow, that seems a lot shorter than you thought. So the first thing we want this program to do, obviously, is to check the fertilizer level using our fertilizer command. Simple. Then we're going to set up a while loop to tell it, hey, whenever your data, so whenever the data is true, where basically whenever the fertilizer is less than 25%, you're going to do something. And what you're going to do is you're going to run supply fert. And then after you've run supply fert, obviously it'll go over there, grab up some fertilizer, come back. We're going to tell it to wait for about 6 seconds because that's about as long as it takes for the fertilizer to get from the transposer into the item, into the hatch rather, and then you're going to check fert again. And that's it. Basically this program will run infinitely, or pretty much as long as we need it to, because it's going to keep running our check fert obviously until it needs to get fertilizer. So long as it doesn't, it knows it's just going to wait and keep checking. So there we go. Cool. And that should do it. So that done, let's pull our fertilizer out of here just so that we're sure that it's that at least it's going to try to run. And let's try to run fertilize farm. Something happened. Let's see what we missed. Something on line 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's interesting. As that shouldn't be a problem. Let's see here. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Sleep 2, end, and then it ends. Alright, let me try to debug this off camera, and then I'll be back when I figure out what's going on. Okay, I think we got it all worked out. We missed a do basically, and while I was trying to figure out what else was going on, it ran out of fuel, and for now I'm just going to manually make sure to keep fuel in it, and that's pretty easy to do, but I'll show you guys that more. Well, why don't I go ahead and show you guys now. Pretty simple. You can pretty much use any kind of burnable fuel, coal, blaze rods, coal coke will also work. I'm just going to use a bit of coal just so you guys can see how it works. Basically it'll be able to fuel itself by keeping items in its inventory and burning that for its own personal fuel. So there we go. We'll just take some of that and type in refuel all, and it'll eat up the fuel, the coal we put in there, and you can see its fuel level. Cool. And we'll probably set up a way to do that automatically later, but for now I want to show you guys fertilize farm. Alright, you guys ready? Here we go. Turtle is off. You can see it'll run off this way. We're going to run ahead of it a little bit. Be careful you don't get in its way, otherwise you'll mess it up a little bit. See, we got fertilizer in here. We'll pick it all up. Keep 32. Go back. And you can see it dropped the fertilizer down. That should be shooting up into here just any second now. Oh. Looks like we had a small glitch. Looks like we might need to give it a little bit more time. So let's do that. This is why we test. Let's give it... say, 8 seconds. Really can be about as long as we realistically need it to be. It doesn't need to be particularly a fast-running program, because it's not going to need to refill that often. So let's just get it back into its starting position. And it should be forward 4. And then turn right. Okay, it should be good. Let's try to run it one more time. Make sure the fertilizer is not in there. Okay. Fertilize farm. There it goes. Pretty cool little device. As soon as we can get it working right. So it'll turn, it'll go over here, it'll grab its stuff. It should have 32. It does. Whoops, why did it? Oh. Well, great. I'll have to get that later. So the turtle made it back, and it should any second now. Come on, why are you... Okay, well, hopefully you guys can see the idea behind this. I'm not sure why it is taking so long to travel through these pipes. I honestly am not sure, but I'm going to basically just adjust that number until it works, so I'll be back. Okay, I just reset it to basically last a little bit longer. You can see technically the program is still running because we can't actually type in it, and the reason it's still running is it's reading our fertilizer and making sure that, and it knows it has more than 25% in there. So if I pull that out, the turtle will run again, and in just a couple seconds it'll get its stuff and then come back. I think we are good now. I think we're set. And we'll follow it back just to double check. Pretty cool once you get these things going. It takes a little while if you're not particularly good at programming like I am, but yeah, but it's pretty rewarding to see it done. Come on, shoot up there. Okay, that did it. That was just long enough. It's still going a little bit slower than I really like, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to terminate the program, and we're just going to extend the time just a little bit more, just to basically, just to be certain. I'm going to bump it up to 16. That should be more than enough time. So the last thing we really have to do is basically set it so that see, every time you close out of your game and restart your world, this program won't know to run, so you'd have to run it manually. But what you can do is you can make a program called startup and basically have it run this program whenever the world starts, whenever the computer starts. So, and you can do that pretty simply just like this. Shell.run and the name of your program, and that should do it. There we go. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. I think I'm done with this for now. Like I said, I definitely probably need to set up some kind of automatic refueling station for this, and we also probably want to try to figure out how we're going to get Pete into the system. But I think that's for another day, because I've just about had my wit's end of programming for today. It's kind of dull, but pretty rewarding at the end, so there we go. Cool. So that done, we might be actually getting pretty close to the point where we need to call this episode. Let me figure out exactly where we are and what else we have time for. Alright, unfortunately we are way past the point where we need to call this episode. Obviously programming ran a little bit long, but hopefully you guys learned a little bit. I tried not to go too much into it, so what I'll do is I will see if I can't paste bin the code that I put together and give that in a link for you guys down in the description if you want to take a look at that. And I'll also put down a link to the ComputerCraft wiki so you guys can check out some tutorials and learn how to do a bit of programming yourselves. So cool. So I'm not sure what we're going to get into next episode. I definitely think I want a little bit of a break from the programming, so I don't know. We'll just have to see. So until then, this has been episode 26 of DarkDragoon's Feed the Beast Mod Pack Let's Play Season 2. Hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I'll catch you guys later.